What are the different kinds of arguments that we have seen yesterday?
4 types, ma'am.
Okay.
Keyword argument, positional argument, variable length
Default
argument, default argument.
Okay. So in the variable length argument, we'll be seeing another kind today. So we have seen that in case if you don't know the number of arguments beforehand, like you're passing so many arguments, you'll be putting a star before the name of the argument to catch those variable length arguments. Sometimes you want to pass keyword arguments, variable length keyword arguments. In the previous case, like in this particular example, in the hobbies example that I have discussed yesterday, here we are having arguments, variable length arguments. The arguments is only swimming, dancing, and all these, singing, all these are normal arguments. They are not keyword arguments. They are normal arguments. When you want to pass variable length arguments to a function, you will just put a star before the argument name. But here I am passing, in this particular example, I am passing keyword arguments. So keyword arguments, I'm representing it as K args or keyword args and all that. So in this particular display, just look at this particular program. So I have a display method. So this display method is just iterating through the keyword arguments that I have given. So this is the function call. So I said display x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3 and all that, where the arguments are not normal arguments, simply an argument, it is a keyword argument. Yesterday we have seen what is meant by a keyword argument. Keyword argument means that it will be having a name associated with it. So I have x is equal to 2. X is equal to, simply passing 2 is like passing normal argument. But when I associate a variable name to it, like I'm saying x is equal to 2, this is a keyword argument. So when you pass the keyword arguments, you should be giving 2 asterisks before the argument name. That's the only difference. If you're passing normal argument, you'll just put a single asterisk or single star before the variable name or before the argument name. If you're passing keyword arguments, you'll be putting double star. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how this will take is, in the previous case, like we said, like it will be accessing it in the format of a tuple. But the keyword arguments will be accessed in the format of a dictionary. That's the reason to access the items, both the items, you need to, both the key and the value, you need to use this item method. Right? So I want both the key and the value. So that's why I have given items over here. And if you see the output is in unordered fashion. So first X came and then Z came. It's not in the same order like how you have passed the keyword arguments into the function call. The output is in unordered fashion. Is this concept clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
So let us see the execution of this keyword arguments. So I have a function which is called as the display function. So inside the display function, I am catching the keyword argument. I am giving double star and then the name of the argument. It can be anything. So I just gave args. Colon at the end. This is how you define a function. So since it is accessing a dictionary, I'm using for, and I have two arguments here, two things to access. That is, one is a key and the other one is value. So that's why I said I comma j dictionary dot. I want both the key and value. So I said items. Right. Okay, put a colon at the end and then write print statement. You can format your print statement however you want. But here I just want the key and the value. I just said print I comma. Right. Okay, now I'm making the function call. So I'm saying display. Then I'm giving the keyword arguments. I said x is equal to 2, comma. Then I'm saying j is equal to 8, comma, k is equal to 9, comma, l is equal to 12. So I'm just passing some keyword arguments. So let me execute this program. So run this program and see. So what happened over here? So I'm getting all the key value pairs. Okay. So I got all the key value pairs over here. So you can see X is equal to 2, J is equal to 8, L is equal to 12, and K is equal to 9. So whenever you want to pass the keyword arguments, you should be giving double asterisk. If you're passing a normal argument, you will be giving a single asterisk. Is this clear to everyone in my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now let us move on to a very, very important concept, which is local and global variables. So what do you know about local and global variables in your C language? What do you know? Here, the variables are associated with the scope and the lifetime. What is meant by the scope? Scope means that the part of the program in which the variables are accessed. What do you mean by parts of the program? Parts of the program means that, so you have functions which are called as the subprograms. Functions are called as subprograms, or you can say that a part of a program where a task is performed. So here we are talking about a function, not like in, for example, if I'm talking about Java, the scope of a variable is different in Java, and the scope of a variable is different in C programming. Every language has got its own rules. For example, in Java, we also say that if block is a part of a program, and the variable will be having a scope inside the if block. But here in Python, if block is not considered to be a part of the program, means it's the variable declared inside the if also will be accessed outside the if. But in Java, it's not that case. If you are giving a variable inside an if, the variable is not accessed outside the if block. So each and every language has got its own rules. So this local and global variables concept is not same as like you have studied in C programming. It's different. Okay, so it's different from language to language. So what is meant by a scope of a variable? So the part of a program in which the variable is accessed. Say I have declared a variable inside a function. Whenever you declare a variable inside a function, the variable becomes local to the function. And if you want to access that variable outside the function, then it will not be, it will say, I don't know this variable. Outside the function, if you try to access, the variable will be unknown in the outside of this particular function. So that is what is called a scope of a variable. If you're making it local variable, then it is available only within the block. If you're making it global variable, then it is available throughout the program. That is what is the difference between local variable and global variables. Now, what is meant by lifetime of a variable? Lifetime of a variable means that how long the variable exists in the memory. That is what is lifetime of a variable. Next is, as I already have given you the differences between global variable and local variable, let us read through these lines. These are the variables which are defined in the main body of the program file. These are visible throughout the program. That's what we have understood. Global variables are the variables which are available. The scope is throughout the program. The variables are available even into the functions, anything. If you're making a variable global, it is available to every parts of the program. It is available throughout the program. It is available through every part of the program. Next is the local variable. Local variables which is defined within a function is called as a local variable. Even the parameters, the formal parameters that you have given for the function are also considered to be local. And whatever you declare within the function as well as the formal parameters, all those are considered to be local to your function. They will be available only within the function. Outside the function, if you try to access them, the outside function will not be knowing those variables. A local variable can be accessed from the point of its declaration till the end of the function in which it is defined. It is accessible only in that block. It exists as long as the function is executing. This is the lifetime. The lifetime of the local variable is that, for example, I have declared it inside a function. The lifetime of the variable only will be till the function ends. After that, the variable will not exist in the memory. So that's why the outer function will be A function parameters behave like local variables. That's what I told you. The formal arguments that we are talking about. The arguments that are there in the function call are called as actual arguments, and the arguments inside the function definition, okay, that those are called as formal arguments. The formal arguments are local to the function. Now let us look into a program which will differentiate between the local and the global variables. I have declared a variable n is equal to 100. I have not associated a global keyword or anything like that. So if you brush on with the keywords concept, there is a keyword which is called as later on, where you need to declare it as global, where you need to specifically tell that it is a global. This n is equal to 10 is not declared within a function. So that's why automatically it is available throughout the main program and also to the definition, to the function also. Right? So I don't need to give a global keyword before n is equal to 10. All the programs that we have seen so far without functions, all the variables are global variables. Even if you don't mention global in front of this particular n, it is considered to be global. But why do we have a keyword called global? I'll explain you that in the subsequent programs. You'll understand that why we have this global keyword associated to specifically tell that a variable is global. I'll tell you that. So I'm printing this variable. So I'm saying global variable n is equal to this n. So it is printing this. Now I have a function. So what is the name of the function? Fun is the name of the function. It's taking one argument, which is num1. Inside the function, we are just trying to understand the difference between local and global variable. This num1 is also the local variable. So I said in function local variable num1, and I'm trying to print num1. And num2, I'm declaring one more variable, which is num2, and I'm assigning 300 to it. And then I said in function local variable num2, and I'm printing num2. And then I said in function global variable n. And then I'm making a function call. So when I made a function call, this 20 is the actual argument. So which is taken, it's a positional argument. So which is directly taken into one argument that's there in the function definition, which is num1. So 20 is directly gone into num1. Okay, fine. And now what I did, I executed this program. So you can see the output wherever you have the print statements. Just try to look into that. So I have this first print statement. So the first print statement is saying global variable n is equal to 100. So 100 is printed on the screen. And then within the function, so I'm saying I want num1. So what's there in num1? 20 is there in num1. 20 is printed. And then num2, so 300 is printed. And the global variable, I'm trying to access this global variable within the function also. Okay, so this is a part of the program, another part of the program. But still n is available here. So I got 100 inside the function also. So this is the difference. We have so many programs. I have so many programs to give you a lot of differences between local variables, global variables, and I also will be explaining you the scope and all that very clearly in the subsequent programs. But as of now, just understand that this global variable, it can be accessed even within the function. Is this program clear to everyone, or do you want me to execute and show it to you?
Clear, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
Is num1 and num2 here?
Local variables.
Num1 and num2 are the local variables, n is the global variable, right? So let us look into another example. So this is the same program where I try to access num1 and num2 outside the function, wherein I try to access num1 and num2, wherein I said like num1 and num2 are the local variables which are available only within this function block. So the function have started over here and it ended over here. So the function began here and function have ended over here. As soon as the function ended over here, the num1 and num2 lifetime is over. They won't exist in the memory. After the return statement, so implicit return statement will be there in the function. So what happens? The program control comes back to the immediate next statement after the function call. So the immediate next statement is this print statement, right? So what is there in this print statement? In function local variable, num1 is equal to num1. I am trying to print this num1 outside the function in the main program. And also I'm trying to print num2 outside the function. And what is it giving me as an output? It is telling me that in function local variable cannot be accessed outside. Okay. So it is giving me an error. So it is saying num1, name error, name num1 is not defined. Because inside the memory itself, this num1 will not exist. It didn't come to num2 also. At this particular point itself, it has thrown me an error, which is a name error, saying that num1 is not defined. I don't know this num1. Which num1 you are talking about, I don't know. So I hope everybody understood what is the scope of the variable and the lifetime. The scope of the variable is that it is only within this block, and the lifetime means that it exists in the memory only throughout the execution of this particular block. After this function block exists, what happens is num1 and num2 lifetime is over, meaning that they are removed out of the memory and they can't be accessed outside the program. But if you still want to print the value of n, it will be printed. So I'll be getting 100 because n is a local variable here. But here you can see that I didn't associate local or global keywords. Local keyword is not there. Non-local keyword is there. Global and anything I didn't associate. But automatically based on the position where I have declared the variables, automatically it is taking them to be it is considering them to be some variables to be local and some variables to be global. So here I said n, I have declared it in the main program. So it is taking it to be the global variable. Based on the position where I have declared the variables, it is considering them to be local or global. Is this program clear to my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us look into another program. So this is the program wherein the issues come when the clash of the local and the global variables happen. What is meant by the clash of local and global variables? Clash means that name conflict, the name conflict. So say I have a global variable n and also I have a local variable n and I try to access both. So in that case, I'll be having a problem. So this is what is called as a clash, the name clash between the local and the global variables. So I'm getting a name conflict. You can also say that it is a name conflict. What is name conflict? Name conflict means that the local and the global variables both are having the same names. When they have the same names, the issues arise. So it is always good practice that you don't give the same names to the local and the global variables because you need to fix them by using certain keywords and all that stuff. Okay, it is always a good practice that you give different names itself. So say for example, I'm having a global variable n is equal to 100. And then I say I have a function which is fun function, and inside fun function I'm saying n is equal to 30. So I have two n's over here where these two n's, declaring them like that is not a problem. I'll get the output. Name conflict is not a syntax error. It's not like you cannot give the same names to the you cannot give the same names to the local and the global variables. You can give it because within this particular function, it will only consider the local variables. So there won't be any name clash comes only if you're trying to access both, then you may get undesirable results. That's what I'm telling you. So you need to be very sure like which value you want to access. When you call a variable, it means that you want the value associated with the variable, right? So you need to be very careful when there is a when there is a name conflict. You need to be careful like which value you want, because whenever you have this name conflict and you try to access n inside the function, the local variable only comes. So if you want to access the global variable with the same name inside the function, I'll show you what you have to do. So here in the program, so I have two variables, n and n over here, where both are having the same name. It's not a mistake you can have. Okay, and you can also have outside also. In the outside the program, I can say n is equal to 100. Later on, I can simply say n is equal to 30. But n will be a global variable, but its value will change. That's it. Okay, right. You can have, but here n and n both are the same variables. They are not two different variables outside the program. Okay, but here there are two different variables. N is one n is of the main program's n, and the other n is of funds n. Okay, so here these are two variables, but if you're declaring it outside the outside the function and inside the main program, when I say n is equal to 100 and later on I said n is equal to 30, it is a single variable, but I did a different assignment to it. First I said 100, take 100 value, and later on I said take 30 value. So this is understood. But here I'm having two different variables. One is a global variable n and the other is local to fun. I am trying to print n value. So when I try to print the n value, it is giving me 30 only, because inside the function, if there is a name conflict, inside the function, it will consider only the local variable n. It will not consider the global variable. It will only take the local variable. So I just made the function call. So the function call is I made a function call, and the function call is bringing me over here to the start of the function. And then n is equal to 30, new variable is created, which is a local variable. And then in function n, so n will return me 30, because only the local variable is considered here. Outside the function, if I try to print n, I'll be getting 100. Is this program clear to everyone in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So say that you don't have a name conflict. If you don't have a name conflict, when I make a function call, so the function call comes over here, the program control comes to the start of the function, and then in function n, so which is taking the global variable, because there is no local variable with the name n. So I'll get 100 here. And after the function, so I'm trying to print n, so I'll get 100. As I said, global variables are the variables which are available to every part of the program. Here, part of the program means that into the functions. So everywhere it is available, and the lifetime of the global variable is also throughout the entire program. It will be available in the memory till the function exists, till the main function exists. Till then, it will be available in the memory. So that is a global variable. So I just wanted to demonstrate this. If there is no name clash, the variable is available. So now let us look into a very, very important concept wherein we are using the global keyword. Why we are using the global keyword is because I want to make a local variable a global variable. We understood that in the previous example, I have declared num1 and num2, which are local variables to the function, right? You remember, right? So I have declared num1 and num2, where num1 is a formal argument to a function, and num2 is equal to 300 or something I made in the previous program. And what happened, I tried to, these are local to the function, and I tried to access this num1 and num2 outside the function, and it is giving me a name error saying that num1 is not defined. This is because num1 and num2 are nothing but the local variables to the function. As I said, after the function exists, these values, these variables will be taken out of the memory. Okay, so they won't exist in the memory. That's why your program is telling that I don't know who are num1 and num2. But if you want to make these local variables as global variables, you can use this global keyword. So I have, let us look into the instruction statements in the program. So the first statement is I'm saying n is equal to 100, wherein we know that n is equal to global variable. N is a global variable by now. Even if I don't declare it as global, it is a global variable. Why? Because it's declared in the main program. Then I have the function defined, fun function defined. And inside the fun function, I'm saying global n1. Now what happens is this n1 becomes global variable, even if it is declared inside fun. If I'm ignoring this statement global n1, what will happen? N1 will become local to the function. But what I'm saying, I want to make this n1 global. So I said global n1. And then I have given some value to it. So I said n1 is equal to 30. Now I'm printing n. When I print n, what happens is n is equal to 100. So 100 is printed on the screen. And after this, the function exists and it comes to the immediate next statement after the function call, which is this print statement. So inside this print statement, I am saying n1. When I try to print n1, it is printing 30. Now I got an answer for n1. Why I got an answer for n1 outside the function is because I made it as global by using the global keyword. I said global n1. Now this n1 has become global. It will be available throughout the program. Is this program clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Total is a global variable. I said total is equal to 0. Okay, I said total is equal to 0. Here I'm just summing up two values. So the sum is taken into total. Okay, right. So I said total is equal to 0. You know that total is a global variable because this is declared in the main function. Then this is sum function defined. So inside the sum function, I'm taking two formal arguments, which are arg1 and arg2. So here what I did, I said total is equal to arg1 plus arg2. Now total here is the local variable. Now total here is the local variable. Because I didn't say global total. Okay, so if I make it global, then it will become global. But here inside the sum, whatever variables that you're declaring will become local. Okay, even if there is no name conflict. That's what we have seen in the previous programs. I said n, I declared n is equal to 10 and then I declared n is equal to 30. But what happened? N is equal to 100 only is printed outside the program also. I just wanted to show you in another variant of it. So I said total is equal to arg1 plus arg2. Now here total became the local variable. Inside the function local total, so what happened? Total is printed, which is I gave 10, 20. It is summing it up to 30 and total is printed as 30 over here. Okay, even if I return total, because that return has to be catched with the sum, I'm not catching it. I'm just printing and also returning it. But this is not catching it. It is not used anywhere. Now outside the function, global total is 0 itself. Okay, so I hope everybody understood this difference. Even if you're having this name conflict, if there is a name conflict of the global variable and the local variable, only inside the function, only the local variable is considered. Coming out, the global variable is considered. It's the same program that I have discussed for n, but I just wanted to show you with another variant where this program is a bit confusing. So I just wanted to show you with this variant. Is this program clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Into how you can make this total as a global one and reflect the results in the total. Now I say total is equal to 0 and then this is the sum function defined. So I'm taking in the two arguments 10, 20 and now what I did is I have added one more statement inside this sum which is global total. So now what happened is this total have become the global variable. I have done some operations here. So I said total is equal to this arg1 plus arg2, where arg1 is 10 and arg2 is 20. 10 plus 20 is 30. So total is taking the 20. Okay, so here it is a global variable because I have declared it as a global variable. Inside the function, total will be 30 and also outside the function, total will be 30. Why it will be 30? Because I made it as a global total. So I said it is a global variable. So global keyword, whenever you're associating a global keyword for the local variables, it becomes global. So I have explained you, like I said, n is equal to 100 and later on in the same program, okay, it's not in the function, in the same program, I'm saying n is equal to 30. Now what happens, it's the same variable, but what happens, n will take in the value 30. So here also the same thing happened. Now what I did, I am having total is equal to 0 now. After that what happened is, I'm saying global total. When I say global total, Now total has become global, but you cannot have two variables with the same name. You cannot have two global variables with the same name. So what happens is it will consider the same total and make modifications to this total. I said total is equal to arg1 and arg2. What happens is 10 plus 20, 30. So this global total is modified. So it is taking in 30 now. So that's why when you print total, it is giving me 30 because you cannot have two global variables with the same name. That rule is there, right? Because that creates confusion to your compiler and your interpreter. If you're having two variables with the same name, I'm saying A is equal to 20 and A is equal to 30. And I'm saying bring A in some expression. So I'm saying A plus B. And there are two values for A, 10 and 20, which are global itself. Then what will happen? It will create confusion to your arithmetic logical unit because it's evaluating the expression and it don't know which value of A to bring in, whether to bring in the 10 or whether to bring in 20 or whatever values are associated. There are two values for A. So that creates an ambiguity, that creates a confusion. So every programming language that you take, they cannot have two variables with the same name. Either it is global or local. Even inside the local variables, I cannot say n and then also again n. If I say n and n, it will consider to be the same n. I cannot have two global variables with the same name and I cannot have two local variables with the same name. That's why we are saying arg1 and arg2. Why we are saying arg1 and arg2? Because they are two different variables. I cannot say arg1 comma arg1, right? Because it will tell me like you are giving the same variable names. So the variable names should be different altogether. But you can have the same names for the local variables and the global variables. Because the scope, as soon as it enters into the block of the definition of function, what happens is it will only see the variables that are within the function. So that's why the name conflict will not come over there. So it will only see the variables that are inside the function. So the name conflict, even if it is having the same global variable name, it is not a problem. Did you understand these points, girls, everybody? And did you understand how this total is converted into a global variable? Or do you want me to explain it again? Is this concept clear? Is this program clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let us look into another variant. So here I have a x is equal to, so I have a variable which is x and x is a global variable. And I said inside this is the fun function and I made a function call. So as soon as I made a function call, the control comes to the first statement inside the fun. So what is there inside the fun? I said x is, and I'm trying to print x. And later on what I said x is equal to 20. And then I'm saying print x into 10. What you might be thinking, just look into the output. Okay, so in the output, it is saying that local variable x referenced before assignment. So I'm getting an unbound local error. This is a very important error you need to keep in mind and very important program I'm showing you. It's a very, very important program I'm showing you because this will actually make you think of the architecture, how it is working and what. There is an in-depth concept behind this. Generally, what you might be thinking is, because I didn't declare any variable over here, any local variable over here, it can actually give me the answer 1000. And later on, I'm saying x is equal to 20, and I'm saying print x into 10. So wherein it can print this other answer to me. Okay, but what is happening over here? It is actually telling me that in the before telling x is equal to 20 itself, it knows that there is a local variable x and I cannot print this because local variable x reference to before, before assignment. So what value I'll print for x over here? Okay, so this is what is the question the interpreter is giving you. Is this program clear to you? At least the question clear to you?
Ma'am, once will you say, ma'am?
Yeah, I'll repeat. I have a global variable x, okay, x is equal to 1000. But now what happened? Now, as soon as the function call is made, I entered into this particular function. Now, what you're expecting this print statement to print?
1000.
Yes,
1000, ma'am.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You are expecting this x to print 1000 because there is a variable, global variable x. So at this particular point, it can actually take the global variable, but it is not taking it. That's what it is very strictly doing with the scope of the variable. And my another question that will rise in your mind is like how it is knowing that I am already having a variable x inside the function in the next statement. Okay, this is because before interpreting, there will be lot of pre-processing done by your PVM. Okay, so Python virtual machine. There will be many modules inside your Python virtual machine, wherein before that it will do lot of pre-processing. The pre-processing means that, so it will see what are the definitions, functions, and it will look into the function definition, put all these functions inside the stack, and see what are all the global variables, put all these global variables on the heap. So all these operations it will do prior to your interpretation. So that is why it know that whenever before in the pre-processing, when it puts the function on the stack, it will be putting that in the local variables of this particular fun function. It will say that there is an x variable inside the function fun. So that is why when your interpreter comes to execute this fun, it will look that x is already a local variable inside the fun. That is why your interpreter is knowing that x is already there in the fun. So it is not taking the global variable x into consideration. So this is a mistake over here. So it is saying that x is there inside your fun, but you are asking me to print the value of x before it's in its assignment. So that is wrong. Okay. So that's why I'm not getting an answer. It is throwing me an error. Is this clear now to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now coming to the next program. So this is a program to demonstrate global variables again. So I said x is equal to 100. So I just made certain modifications to the previous program. So I said global x. Okay, when I said global x, it is giving me 1000. X is equal to 20 and I print the value of x, and outside the x also it is 20 only. As I already told you that there cannot be two global variables. So when I made x global, what happened? It is considering the global x itself, and it is making modifications to the value of the global x. So now initially x was having 1000. Initially x was having 1000. And now I am saying that I'm asking my program to refer this as a global x. So x is a global variable. And then I am saying x is equal to 20. This 1000 will go off and 20 will be here. Okay. So it is like assigning some value to it again and again. That's it. Outside the program, it is giving me 20. Is it clear to everyone? Is this program clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, voice is breaking.
In the previous program, the points to be noted is whenever you're having a name conflict between the global and the local variables, make sure that you're assigning it and then you want it to read it into an expression or you want to print it. Okay, make sure you're doing the assignment first and then you're using the variable. So this kind of using the variable and then assignment, anywhere it is a problem. Not only in Python, in any of the programming languages, it is a problem. This statement, if you just write it in C programming, it will say, I don't know, X. Okay, so the same conflict has come over here, the same concept. Don't confuse with the concept. If you're trying to print value of X without defining it or without initializing it, how can the program know? How can it do? There is a certain structure for the programs, right? Instructions to be written. That's why we are saying that logical structure. So here the logical structure is, so you're saying you're not doing assignment, but you want to print X. But here it is a different concept altogether. That's the reason why I have put here. If it is inside the main program, I would not have put this program, because you already know, because there is some logical structure for the program, and you cannot give access the variable or initialize it. Okay, so that's the basic rule that we generally learn when we learn the programming languages, right? So here, but your expectations are different. Here we are expecting, because X is here, before the local variable, we are expecting it to print 1000, but that it is not doing, because it's throwing me an unbound local error. Make sure that in your programs you are not doing that mistake. Are the two mentioned? No?